using the Windows part of it. Windows can also be used to remind the viewer the things that needs to be done in the near future. Okay, next thing, monitoring. It can changes both internal and external things that can be easily monitored. Okay, data in one window can be modified and its effect on another window can be studied. We do this, right? When I'm sending probably a quiz or a feedback link, I do the changes. Probably when I go for a preview, it will obviously open in the next window. Okay, when you go for a preview, it will obviously open in the next window. They will see a preview that how it looks through to the student who's going to fill it. Okay, that is what you see. Changes in one window, other one you're going to see the changes of it. Okay, external events. What are the external events? Okay, changes in stock prices. Okay, out of normal range conditions, system messages can be watched while another major activity is carried out. Okay, how many of you have got stocks here? I mean, people who are invested in stock market. No one. People from Andhra should be knowing it a lot. Okay, fine. Okay, you'll be doing it very soon. Once you get into a company, you will be doing it. Okay, they are going to give you company shares and it will be put in your demat account. Okay, what's demat account? Not like your SB, college accounts and all, SB account, FT account. It's called a dematerialized account. Okay, it will not be in material form. It will be more in a digital form where you put all your shares and all. Okay, think that some person, okay, who was joined Infosys, and probably there are two options. Okay, joining bonus. There are two options. One as a cash. I mean, cash means they'll put it in your account, or other option is they'll go for what you call as shares. Okay, shares of that particular company. Okay, for that you need a demat account. They'll be putting it into your account. Okay, that's the best option compared to putting it in forms of cash. Okay, cash will always get a lot, maybe in 1 or 2 months. Okay, you put it in as your demat. Of course, that also you can sell, but more something which is more easily, not so easily, changeable. Okay, yeah, so that's something that you are going to learn. Okay, maybe in years time, by this time, maybe next year, you'll be knowing a lot of it. Okay, so that's the next thing. Okay, multiple representation of the same task. The same thing can be looked at many different ways. Okay, so what is the example? Alternate drafts of a speech, different versions of a screen, okay, or different graphical representation of the same data. Okay, can all be done using this. Next, constraints are to see what is the thing I'm reading. I'm talking about characteristics. There I'm talking about what all things that needs to be written in this. Okay, I talked about few points, then I'm looking into advantages. Now I'm talking about the disadvantage, also known as constraints. Okay, what is the constraints when it comes to Windows design? First thing, a great amount of time the users must spend doing such things. Okay, what such things? Pointing at tiny boxes in the window borders, resizing the windows, okay, moving the windows, closing the windows. You don't think that has a very thing that will take a long time, but we need to say it as a disadvantage. Okay, but why? Because it's in the past. In the past, window user interface has been described as chaotic. Okay, why it's called chaotic? Because of all those reasons. Okay, the problems with windowing systems can be attributed to 3 factors. Number 1, first thing, historical considerations. There'll be 2 H that will be coming. One is historical. Next one is hardware limitations. The next one is human limitations. Okay, not 2, 3. Historical, hardware, and human limitations. Okay, problems in Windows. Understand this. Problems in Windows design in the past is attributed to 3 considerations. Okay, historical, hardware, and human limitations. So what is the first one? The historical considerations. Okay, historically, system developers used to spend a lot of time, or were more interested in solving the hardware problems than in the user consideration. Historically, in the past. Okay, there has been very little research addressing the design issues and the impact on visibility of Windows system. Okay, therefore very few concrete window design guidelines are made to the sort of designers. Okay, look into Windows operating systems. Okay, which if you look into what is the history of it, there are very minimal changes. Okay, the same thing is not true in terms of Android. I think you studied OS, you know, lot of things related to OS. Okay. When you go for Windows, when you go for an Android thing, there's a multiple versions of Android. And if you compare maybe a 10 years old Android to now, there's a lot of changes. But when you compare maybe a 10-year, 15-year comparison between a Windows operating system to now, there are very, very minute changes. Okay. Except for how it looks through and all, very minute changes. Okay. So that's something that, you know, people, again, because people are comfortable with it. Okay. And of course, whereas other limitations also, okay, changing is not going to be that easy there. Next, this lack of guidelines makes it difficult to develop or acceptable or agreeable Windows standards. Okay. Standardization of interface is also inhibited by the other factors like seeing standards as a threat to creativity and perceived monetary rewards. Okay. So all these things are in terms of the historical consideration. Okay. Next, hardware limitations. Many of the today's screens are not large enough to take full advantages of the Windows capabilities. Why? Because again, same thing, today's screens. Many users of personal computers expand their windows to cover a full screen. Okay, we do this, right? I mean, otherwise we cannot see much. Okay, there's always a possibility of working with multiple windows and all, but generally we go with one full screen, then shift into another full screen like that. Okay, either seeing all the contents of one window is preferable than seeing small parts of many windows. Okay, next, again, it's all hardware limitations. Okay. So also the slower processing speeds, and again, see, this is all something which is like old data. Okay. Now people may be thinking, where do you think, you know, slower processing speeds, smaller memory size and all? It's something which is written long ago. Okay. So that the same data is coming through. So when you write this slow processing speeds or smaller memory sizes, you should not question yourself like, okay, how is it possible? Now it's everything's almost, you know, very fast, almost very big in terms of space. Okay, next, human limitations. Okay, a windowing system requires learning and using more operations. Okay, much practice is needed for what? Master them. Hopefully, you know, for those people who don't know, then window management operations are placed on top of the other operations, and window management can be done in end itself. Okay, something which you, again, human limitations, think of a person who's not able to work on Windows, what and all points you can write. Then based on that, you try to write. Okay. So this can sort of detect, you know, things on task. Okay. So these are all what you call as the characteristics of it. Predominantly advantages, disadvantages. Okay. When they ask for 10 marks, you should be able to sort of write about it. Okay. What are the other limitations? The other possible problems will be basically the necessity for the window borders to consume valuable screen space. Okay, small windows that provide large amounts of information can be lead to excessive bothersome scrolling. We have seen this, right? If the window is opening very small, then the information you need to keep on scrolling because the space is very less. Okay, so what we're going to happen, if the screen is big, then probably you can read it like this. If the screen is small, then you have to go through like this, which requires scrolling. Okay, which requires scrolling. Okay, so that's it's a bothersome scrolling. So this is in terms of characteristics. The next thing is in terms of the components of a window. Okay, when you take window, what and all will be there? Okay, from the textbook point of view, not from the general point of view. Okay, from the textbook point of view, what and all should be there? A typical window may be composed of 2 a dozen or so elements. Okay, do you read dozen? No, we are going to read about only few things here. Okay, some appear on all the windows, others on certain kinds of windows or under certain conditions. Okay, for the consistency purposes, these elements should always be located in the same position within a window.